Welcome. This video explores some of the built-in blocks that are designed to use higher order functions in BYOB. So I've got a project set up. I just have a list called numbers with some numbers in it. And I already have a special sprite loaded. And I'm going to show you how to load this. I've already got it loaded because it takes a few seconds and you don't need to watch it. So if you start a new project and then you go to Import Project, and what you want to look for is the folder where your BYOB program is. So I have it installed on my C drive under the folder BYOB. And if you find that BYOB folder, wherever you're starting up the BYOB program from is where you should be looking for it. If you're launching off the desktop, it'll be there. If it's on a flash drive, it won't be on the C drive. So you've got to know where you're launching the program from and find that folder. And then open the tool sprite. And so if I hit OK, I'm hitting cancel because I already have it loaded, but you'd hit OK, and it will load for a second, and you'll get this tool sprite. And it's got some examples of the new tools that it brings in. Basically, it brings in a whole bunch of new blocks. And some of them are things that may look familiar if you're used to programming. You may have been wondering where things like a for loop are, and that's part of what the tool sprite brings in. We're not going to be using most of them. You're free to poke around. Once you've loaded the tool sprite, what you can do is delete it, and it will go away, but you'll keep all the new blocks that it defined. And so down here, you notice in the variables section, on the variables tab, down under the list section, there's a lot more blocks that we didn't have before, and we're going to explore a couple of these. So we're going to start with map. Map basically does the job of the block that I just built in the previous video. It allows us to specify a particular block to use over every element of a list. So I can say something like, I want to take my numbers list and I want to do something to it. And I'm actually going to bring in a copy of just to show you in a second. So I want to add 10 to every item in this list. The way I'd express that would be, okay, my map, my function that I'm going to map is going to be blank plus 10. And as I drag this in, you'll see it can light up the whole area. If I do that, I don't end up with a gray border. That is not what we want. When we're trying to say, here's the function you use, as opposed to here's the value to use. When it's blocked in like that, what it wants to do is actually execute the plus and try and map 22 over the list, which doesn't really make sense. If I say blank plus 10, and I drag it right over the center of that gray circle so I get the border, what it ends up saying is map the current number plus 10 over whatever list. So I'm going to do it with numbers. And we can see that numbers ends with 31, 19, 48. So if I run this script, I see 41, 29, 58. Now I'm not 100% sure why it does it, but BYOB likes to hide the original list if we do it that way. So from now on, I'm going to always be using copy of numbers, just because it avoids that kind of glitch where it wipes out the original list. Right, so you can see that the numbers that we can see, the last four, 26, 41, 29, 58, are all 10 bigger than they were. It doesn't change the original list. It's just going to basically make a copy of the list and do this modification to it. And any function that makes sense to do to each item, I can do there. So I could map, instead of mapping plus 10, I could, let's say this represents scores out of 50. I could divide each item by 50. And you can see that the last score is a 96. The one before that's a 38. Makes sense if those are scores out of 50. I could ask if each value, let's say, equals 16. So no, yes, no, no, no. And you can see there's a true that's pretty much cut off, and then false, false, false. If I ask which of these are greater than, say, 25, kind of comparing with the original list, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Or true, false, true, false, true. Basically, if I can think of a way to express what I want to do to each element, I can use the map. So you may have noticed the little number symbol there. What that's all about is it's a way to express which item number you're on as you describe what you want to do. So let's say that I want to do kind of the stair-step checksum, where I want to multiply each item by the place it's in. So I want to multiply each item, but I don't want to say multiply by 5 or 4 or 3. I want to do each item by the place number it has. So the way I could express that would be to say map the multiply block. The whole is always going to represent the current value, so like 52, then 16, 31, 19, 48, by the number item that is. So by 52 by 1, 16 by 2, 31 by 3. And I'm just going to make these numbers a little bit smaller so it's easier to track what's going on. So let's do 5, 1. Let's make this one 2, and this one 4. And if we run this block, you can see the last number is 20, and the one above that is 8. The one above that is 9. Well, we did 4 times 5 is 20, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 3 is 9. So it's not often that you need that, but if you want to express which number you're on, that's what the little number symbol is for.